How's it going, everyone? How are you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going over my predictions for the Chelsea versus Spurs game. It's going to be an incredibly tough game for us. We are both in electric form. We're both in very good form. And that's why this game is going to be also crucial to potentially the title race. You never know. We're only going to be 10 games in at that point, but it could be really huge. This could be a monumental game later on down the line if, us and Spurs are neck and neck. And I think this is a huge test for us and our most recent form. Over the last couple months, we've been doing incredibly well in each and every game we're playing. So this is a really tough test for Chelsea and a chance for us to show that we are capable of beating anyone. Anyone we face, we are capable of beating them. But to get right into the player news, for the first time this season, Chelsea have every player available. Can you believe it? Every single player is up for selection. There are no injuries. No one's got COVID. Nothing. Every single player is available and ready for selection, which means predicting this a little more difficult. And I made a couple decisions that you might not agree with. But for Spurs, they're missing Toby Alderweireld, who's in excellent form for them in defense, and unfortunately went down to an injury against Manchester City. For you Spurs fans, he's going to be out for 2 to 4 weeks, according to Mourinho. With that being said, to get right into the lineups, I went with a 4-3-3 for Chelsea. Edward Mendy in goal, Ben Chilwell on the left, Thiago Silva and Kurt Zouma, the center back duo. On the right, Reece James. For the midfield trio, I went with Kai Havertz, N'Golo Kante, and Mason Mount. For the front three, I went with Callum Hudson-Odoi on the left, Timo Werner up top, Hakim Ziyech on the right. For the subs, I went with Kepa, Azpilicueta, Jorginho, Kovacic, Giroud, Pulisic, and Abraham. I went with a more offensive bench because I have a feeling that we're going to have a tough time to breaking down Spurs, and I think that we might need some more offensive options on the bench in order to bring on some fresh legs and potentially, snag a couple late goals. You never know. But for Spurs, I went with a 4-2-3-1. Hugo Lloris and goal, Reguilon on the left of their defense, Dyer and Rodon. I picked Rodon over Sanchez because I think he's more in favor with Mourinho as of today. I went with Doherty on the right of defense. For the two holding midfielders, I went with Højbjerg and Sissoko. For the attacking mids, Heung-min Son on the left, Ndombele in the middle, Gareth Bale on the right. I went with Harry Kane up top, of course, as striker for Spurs. Now for their subs, I went with Joe Hart, which is still crazy to say that he is with Spurs. He was just with Burnley and Roma and Manchester City. Now he's with Spurs. It's crazy. Serge Aurier, Davinson Sanchez, Lucas Bergwijn, Lo Celso, and Carlos Vinicius. Now I went with Bale just to go with Bale. It could easily be Lucas. It could easily be Bergwijn. It could be Bale. That one's a bit of a toss-up for me, but I believe everyone else is pretty much a lock-in for this Spurs lineup. But in terms of both teams' recent forms, for Chelsea, they had their narrow 2-1 win over Rennes, where we snagged a late goal to secure a place in the round of 16. We had the 2-0 win over Newcastle in the Premier League and the 4-1 win over Sheffield, and also in the Premier League. For Spurs, they most recently had their 4-0 win over Ludo Goretz in the Europa League, I believe, to secure top spot in their group. They had the solid 2-0 win over Manchester City and then a narrow 1-0 win over West Brom, both in the Premier League. In terms of their both teams' most recent matchups between each other, Spurs beat Chelsea on penalties in the Carabao Cup. They went into overtime 1-1, went into penalties, tied 1-1. We went through, the whole overtime, and Mason Mount missed the final penalty, so we were knocked out of the Carabao Cup by Spurs. In February of this year, last season, Chelsea beat Spurs 2-1, and in this fixture last season, in December, Chelsea beat Spurs 2-0. Now, in terms of Chelsea's approach, I wanted to quickly address why I made a couple decisions in the lineup. Mason Mount, I believe, will bring a lot more energy and effort. I believe that's crucial in unlocking Spurs' midfield. If we can force Højbjerg and Sissoko out of their positions, it will create a lot of space in the midfield, and instead of us having to go through two holding midfielders, we instead have a straight lane to their defense, which I think will be very important. And I think Mason Mount's energy and tenacity will be crucial in breaking down that midfield. Now, in terms of picking Hudson-Odoi over Christian Pulisic, which I'm sure some people will scream at me for, I just think that this isn't quite the right game for Pulisic to come back yet. You might say, well, he's a big game player. It's huge for him. He can come, this is a big game for him. It's going to be a physical game. Not necessarily dirty, just physical. It normally is against Spurs. We get physical against each other. And that's why I just don't think it's right for Pulisic just yet, especially after his injury, to come back into this game. He's just coming off of a hamstring injury. He's been out for 3 weeks or so, 2-3 weeks, and for him to come back into a game that's gonna be really physical, I just don't want to see him come off an injury just to pick up another one. That's my issue. Is I have a feeling he's gonna get banged up in this game if he were to start. If he makes a late cameo, is a different argument. I believe he probably should and probably will. Him and most likely maybe Giroud will come off the bench late into the game, 60th, 70th minute. But I think him making a 20-30 minute appearance is better than him making a 60, 70, even 90 minute appearance. I just don't think he's quite there yet. I think Lampard needs to kind of ease him back in and not necessarily allow him to play against a team that's going to be really physical. And I just think wait for a start until the next game. Let's wait for the next game for him to start. As I really want to see him start too. I mean, look, I just hit my desk, but look, I want to see him start. I do, but I just don't think it's the right game for him just yet. Now, we are likely going to control the bulk of possession in this game as Spurs allow their opponents to do so. If you look at a lot of their most recent games, you'll see 60-40 possession, 65-35 possession, 68-32 possession. Spurs just give it up. They allow the other team to have that possession. In exchange, Spurs wait until you make your mistakes and then they take advantage of that. If we cannot take advantage of the possession, Spurs, like I said, will punish us on the counter. They bide their time and they wait. We are facing a disciplined counter-attacking team who will be patient, and wait for their opportunity to strike. They will wait and wait. They're just incredibly patient and will wait until they can properly hit you on the attack, where they don't run into any roadblocks, where you stretch yourself thin and they can easily just slide right through your midfield and right through your defense and put it in the back of the net. Now, keeping our shape, I think, will be the most important part of our approach, and not allowing Spurs to catch us on the break. With that being said, that's kind of why I think Son versus James is going to be the key matchup here. I don't think Son versus Chilwell is a more favorable matchup. I think Son versus James is the more favorable matchup for Son. I think Chilwell is just more experienced. He can take advantage of Reece James' inexperience, even though he's doing incredibly well this season. James is still not as experienced as a lot of other fullbacks out there. So that's why I think Son versus James will be the more favorable matchup, which is why I think he'll start on the left side of Spurs' 4-2-3-1 formation. And I just think that he needs to take advantage of, because James and Chilwell both like to push up on the attack. And so the space that they leave behind, Heung-min and Son can take advantage of, and I don't think James is likely to recover. I think Chilwell is more likely to recover from that kind of mistake than James is. Now, for keeping the offense at bay when they do get forward, I think that Kane and Son, that connection needs to be disrupted. That supply line needs to be disrupted, and I think Thiago Silva and Kurt Zouma will be crucial in isolating Kane. That's going to be the important part here in shutting down their offense, is isolating Kane, forcing Kane to create his own chances. And what that could do is, what it's likely to do, is push their attacking mids forward in an effort to try and make up for the lost sort of space that Kane is leaving behind. With that, there's a couple of extra little effects that can have. Either the holding midfielders stay back and hold their spot in front of the defense, which is not as favorable as if they start to push up and try to offer more in the offense, with Kane being shut out and with the middle of the pitch for the offense being shut out. You could see potentially Højbjerg and Sissoko pushing up. Maybe not both of them, maybe only one of them, which is enough for us to try and get in behind and create that sort of space to get straight to their defense instead of running into the roadblock that is Sissoko and Højbjerg. If we can keep their offense at bay, it will allow our offense to find their rhythm and create some solid chances. With that being said, we cannot allow any golden chances go to waste. Like Timo Werner's early miss against Rennes, where he had the cross. He essentially had an open goal in front of him, and he fired it over the crossbar. No. We cannot allow that in this game. We will be made to pay if we can't take advantage of those chances. I.e. versus Man City. Man City had 22 shots with 5 on target and 66% possession, whereas Spurs had only 4 shots with 2 on target and 34% possession. Notice, Spurs won that game 2-0. Their 2 shots on target were their 2 goals. They had got an early goal and simply bided their time to snag another in an extremely solid defensive showing. And they'll either, if they go up, they'll either, like I said, bide their time until they can get another one, or simply just see out the rest of the game. They're more than capable of doing so with a solid back line. Now, Spurs will be incredibly patient in this game, which means we need to force them to play a different game. We can't allow them to just sit back the entire time. If we can force them to push up, although that'll put pressure on our defense, it'll create space for our offense, so we'll be able to break their defense and slip through, score a couple goals. With that being said, if we go up by 2, I think that should be good value for a win. I think if we go up by 1, it just won't be safe. It just won't be a safe lead at all. Spurs could easily break and take advantage of any space that we leave behind. And I think that a 2-0 scoreline will be solid. If we go by 1, we shouldn't stop pressing there. We need to keep pressing and keep going for another one and maybe another one. We just need to be disciplined though if we go up and not get careless on the ball. If we start to get careless, if we go up, Spurs are gonna punish us. They're gonna hit us on the break hard and they're gonna punish us. This is going to be a tough game. This is a tough game to call because I feel like any result is equally as likely as the other. I believe the chances of Chelsea winning is just as likely as Spurs winning. Is just as likely the chances of these 2 teams meeting in the middle and drawing. They're both in electric form. They're both coming into this game red hot, and it's going to be a really entertaining game. But I'm going to change my scoreline from the prediction video that I made. I'm going with a 2-1 win for Chelsea. I believe that we scored twice before the 60th minute. Then Spurs pull one back kind of late, 75th minute, 80th minute, and it sets up for a very nervy ending where you just kind of are on the edge of your seat, biting your nails, where we have to defend for 10, 15, 20 minutes. And Chelsea show their defensive mettle, and with a solid win over Spurs, show that they are more than capable of challenging for this title and more than capable of beating any team in any competition they're in. I think that Chelsea have shown that they can pull off any big win against any team, but this will further prove that they are capable of doing that. And it's just a huge game, and I'm honestly really excited to watch this game play out. I think it's going to be really entertaining, even from an unbiased standpoint. I think this is going to be an entertaining game, possibly one of the most entertaining games of the season. Then watch it be the most boring game of the season, but I could see it being one of the most entertaining games of the season already, and could be a huge stepping stone in Chelsea's chance to potentially snag the title this season and further prove that they are capable of going further in every competition that we have in recent seasons, which for me will be a huge improvement, but it starts with this game over Spurs. Those are my predictions for this game. Let me know what you guys think. What are your lineups? How do you think Chelsea should approach this game? What do you think the result's going to be? Let me know in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe. Go check out the socials in the description. My Twitter is @BlueHermit1. My Instagram is @BlueHermit_. Please share the social story, friends, family. Everybody know. Let the people know Blue Hermit's where it's at. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.